post up, that's a fact, yo. And if you think I'm frontin', you can run it back, yo. Girl, run it back. You know that I run it. Everything you wanna do, I already done it. And I got your little boo telling me she love me. I got this one, that one. Damn, it's gonna be a long night.
Hello guys, what is up? It is me, Prince of Wedis. I am back. I hope your day is going great. And today I'm doing What If Tanjiro Had Limitless Breathing, Part 1, Breathe. And this is going to be pretty fun, but it's a short series. I just wanted to test out the waters and see if I could do more Demon Slayer What Ifs. And also, the second season hasn't come out, which is why this is only 2 parts. So, bear with me. Alright, now we're going to start. So, Tanjiro was born to Gojo Kamado and Kie Kamado. Just like his father, he had white hair, but unlike his father, his eyes seemed way more clear and beautiful. As Gojo sees his son develop these eyes, after 2 years, he realizes that, unlike him, his son can reach the absolute strength that he never could. Gojo was known as a swordsman that matched and surpassed Yoichiro. He had a technique called limitless breathing that allowed him to cut through space itself, and he had strength surpassing the demons. However, these powers come at a cost, and as he grows older and older, he lost his full strength, but still had the ability to use limitless breathing. So he left the Demon Slaying Corps, and this meant that the demons started attacking more, and so as Tanjiro grew up, he taught him how to use limitless breathing, but Tanjiro needed a trigger to use his full abilities. Regardless, Tanjiro was still stronger than normal kids, and was able to chop wood with ease at the age of 7. But that was all for now. Aside from his abilities, Tanjiro had peerless beauty to the point where he would think that he was a woman if he looked at you. His dad had the same looks, but unfortunately this did not reach Nezuko or Tanjiro's other siblings. Not that they weren't like beautiful, they still had the looks, like they're still like, that's Gojo's genes, you know what I'm saying? So soon Gojo dies at the hands of, old age, and he hands his responsibilities to, Tanjiro, and he becomes the man of the family, and he also gives him his Hanafuda earrings. Tanjiro kept his family safe and fed until he was 13 years old, and one day he'll be walking outside, he puts on a basket on him and he heads out down the mountain. His siblings then want to come, but Kie says that they can't, and Tanjiro promises that he will bring them next time, and just as he says this is when he sees Nezuko walk out with the youngest brother in her arms. Take care, okay guys? He then runs past her and pats her head and his little brother's head and goes down the mountain. And when he makes it there, he already gets fawned over by the few women of his age that are there and proceeds to sell his coal. But along with this, he gets requests and people ask for help, and he solves their problems with his keen sense of smell, which he still has, and his superhuman strength. When Tanjiro sells all his coal, he starts going back home and night falls. Along the way, he sees Saburo step out of his house, and this was the man who was worried for the boy's safety, and he tells him to stay at his place due to the demons. Tanjiro agrees and stays the night, and he leaves the next morning running up the mountain, but as he gets closer and closer to his home, he smells something containing iron. Is that blood? Oh no. He then increases his speed and makes it to the top of the mountain, throwing away the basket as he then quickly opens the door, and to his shock, he steps in blood. He is frozen in shock and fear and dread, and after a while he tries to shake his mom, Takeo, Hanako, and all his family members awake. Looking at his blood-covered hands, he would then think, this can't be happening. He starts crying as his eyes then change a bit, and he feels and senses that Nezuko is alive after he touches her hand at her wrist, and she still has a pulse. Quickly he picks her up and starts running with her on his back, but then along the way Nezuko starts to shift and her nails grow. She gains fangs and goes to bite Tanjiro, who notices, but she stops midway, acting as if something invisible was stopping her from biting him. But Tanjiro is shocked, tripping and falling off a small cliff, and he uses himself to cushion her fall. And when they do land, Nezuko tries to bite him still, and he has to use his axe to put it between her teeth to keep her back, which he is doing easily, but he is just emotionally unstable as Tanjiro just struggles to bring back his sister, and soon she starts to cry, and he's happy that he's getting her back little by little, only for Nezuko to then be kicked by someone, and Tanjiro gets up to see Tomioka catching Nezuko, who's struggling to get away from his grasp. I'm sorry, but your sister is no longer... Wait a minute. Giyu then recognizes that pure white hair anywhere, and he sees he's holding the demonized daughter of the man he once looked up to. Tanjiro then gets mad, asking him to let go of her. She cried for me, she must still be human, please. Giyu then feels perplexed about this, but says he cannot let her live, and that his father would have said the same thing. What do you know about my father? Tanjiro in a split second appears right in front of Giyu and remembers something his dad used to always say. Whenever things get tough or frustrating, just breathe and you'll be opened up to a new world. So Tanjiro does, as he then breathes and slashes at Giyu with his axe, and Giyu just manages to dodge just in time, but then he looks back, realizing that the tree he was standing in front of has been completely cut down from top to middle. You really are his son. Tanjiro then appears in front of him again, but is slower this time, so Giyu manages to knock him out with the hilt of his sword, and as Giyu does this, he feels his wrist just be sprained, and Nezuko kicks him away as she then runs to her brother in a protective stance. You really are still there, aren't you? Giyu is surprised that she can really hold on to her consciousness, and he manages to knock her out as well and puts a gag on her. When Tanjiro wakes up, he sees his knocked out sister and Giyu waiting for him to wake up. Thank you for not taking her life. Take this, Giyu would say. I want you to head to this destination and look for a man named Urokodaki. He will teach you to control your powers, so then maybe one day you can return her to normal. Tanjiro takes this note and Giyu leaves as Tanjiro thanks him, and he grabs and carries Nezuko up the mountain with him, and he buries his family. And just as Nezuko wakes up and mourns with him, Nezuko seems to still be in control of herself, and as they do this, Tanjiro is surprised and happy that she is, and he doesn't know if this is because of something he got from their father or just sheer will. He then stands up and says, "Let's go, I'm gonna get stronger and find out who did this, I swear it." Nezuko stands up and nods, and they both leave, but on their journey they have to stop, and Tanjiro makes a basket for his sister, and she changes form and fits into it, and they move along, and he keeps his axe close to him. Now on their way, however, Tanjiro finds himself close to a temple and smells blood once again, and he runs up the stairs of the temple to see a demon just eating someone out. Tanjiro puts down his basket saying, "Hey." The demon then rips out a piece of flesh and smiles at him, seeing more prey, only to then freeze up as he sees Tanjiro's pure white hair. But Tanjiro does not care about him being off guard, and he takes this chance to attack. He would appear replicating the same technique he used on that tree, and with one slice he cuts the demon in half perfectly, and he then jumps back as the demon falls in half. Like he just starts to fall in half, and Tanjiro would say, "If I master this, I could be invincible." The demon then starts to regenerate, but slowly, as he curses the white-haired brat, and this regeneration freaks out Tanjiro, who gets ready to cut him once again, but then the sun starts to rise, and he burns, and he disappears. This is when Urokodaki walks up, tapping Tanjiro on the shoulder, and Tanjiro is startled at first, but realizes soon that this will be his master. He looked so much like him, but unlike him, you cannot control your power, can you? He then points to the house, which had been split in half, and Tanjiro just realized that he did this, and honestly finds it really cool, but realizes how dangerous that could be. So they start going to Urokodaki's place, and as Tanjiro carries Nezuko, they're running to Urokodaki's place, and he realizes that this kid can actually keep up with him really easily. Does it have something to do with his eyes? Gojo never had those. And when they make it to his home, Tanjiro was sat down and told about his dad's true life, and how he is known by a lot of people, and that's why the demons probably reacted to his hair. But it seems you have something your father does not. Tanjiro says he did do something weird to protect himself, and he closes his eyes, telling Urokodaki to try touching him. As he tries, Tanjiro focuses, and as he's about to touch Tanjiro, Urokodaki's hand cannot push any further. Are you stopping me? How is this? He then pushes more, however the barrier then disappears, and he touches Tanjiro on the chest, and he can tell that Tanjiro is exhausted from using the spell, and says that he will help him control it. Okay, when do we start training then? Urokodaki says tomorrow, and they do. However, the next day, not only does Tanjiro train, but Nezuko does as well. And Urokodaki then thinks that she must have some blood art that allows her to live without needing to eat humans and drink human blood. So Tanjiro and Nezuko go through some extreme training, and Tanjiro realizes that his father left his training method to Urokodaki. It was very strenuous and difficult, even with some of his abilities. But Nezuko does, still rest in between training because she still needs to rest, and yeah. Since then, Tanjiro is, pretty far ahead, and, he starts developing a breathing style similar to his father's called limitless breathing. But not only does it increase his strength by a lot, he is told that he can cut through space itself, so he may develop stranger abilities since he seems to have more range than his dad does. So Tanjiro makes 4 forms that derive from his limitless breathing just for him. It's special just to him, and he is indeed different from his father, like a lot, and these forms will show it. First form, limitless breathing, perfect slash. This is a slash that cuts perfectly down the middle, and it can affect things from far away just by focusing on trying to reach the person. It can also be cut horizontally, vertically, any way, but it will always reach the person, but it depends on the range. Second form, limitless breathing, enchanting slash. This attack pulls in enemies so he can hit them, and when he uses this power, his sword glows blue, so he pulls you in and slashes you, and you cannot escape. Third form, limitless breathing, repelling stab. When he uses this, his swords glow red, and he stabs his sword into the ground, causing things around him to be sent flying, and they can also shatter, which in case for humans or demons can break their bones and give them internal bleeding. And it's not really, much of like a sword technique, but it still counts. Now, fourth form, Limitless Breathing, Still Slash. When used, anyone attacking him becomes frozen when they step within 5 feet of him, of his area, and Tanjiro then gets a chance to slash them. They just cannot move. Tanjiro also learns to control space, not allowing people to touch him no matter how hard they try, but he can only hold that for 1 minute at a time, and using it way too much can exhaust him. Now, aside from that, Tanjiro can't do much else, and they couldn't figure out what his eyes were truly for, and he was going to have to find that out on his own. When his training comes to an end, Tanjiro is brought into a part of the forest by Urokodaki, and he sees a boulder as big as a small home, both in width and height. I guess your standards are quite high, Tanjiro would say, and Urokodaki would say, of course, and I believe you'll be able to do it. It wouldn't make sense if you couldn't. I'll leave you alone, but after this, I'll have nothing else to teach you. Tanjiro then tells him to wait, as he then takes out a sword and says, this won't take too long, trust me. Tanjiro then breathes and slashes down hard, and he puts his sword away, and the boulder splits, shocking Urokodaki, and it was really huge. Like I'm saying, this boulder is as huge as a house. Like, Urokodaki had to have some demon slayers actually help him move it. I still have a few days before the selection, so it'd be nice if you can tell me where you found these. Urokodaki coughs and says that he will take him there, and Tanjiro spends the rest of his 3 months slashing boulders, and then he leaves for the selection. But he wears a hat to hide his hair and eyes, as he does not want to draw any attention. He and the others wait for instructions as the twin sisters then arrive explaining the rules, and then everyone runs past them into the demon forest. Tanjiro finds a demon, and as it attacks Tanjiro, he kicks it in the stomach, pushing it back. Now, before I kill you, do you know of a way to turn demons back into humans? The demon doesn't hear him though, as it is too scared of Tanjiro's just pure aura, so Tanjiro takes out his sword and just swings it horizontally despite being so far away from him, and the demon gets confused before his head then just falls off and Tanjiro leaves, and it starts to disintegrate. Then after this starts the days of him asking for answers, and when finding none, he just kills demons, and the demons just cannot even touch him at all. He finally makes it back to the safe zone full of Wisteria, and sees one of the passing contestants harassing one of the twins. By the way, the arm demon wasn't a big deal to Tanjiro, he just killed it in one slash, it was really easy. Now Tanjiro gets mad seeing this harassing of little kids, and takes off his hat as he passes Zenitsu and Kanao, who blush a bit thinking he was really pretty, and Zenitsu thinks that he's a girl. Genya is about to punch the girl when his arm is then caught and squeezed. Ow, what the hell? He then turns around mad, but he blushes as he sees Tanjiro as well, and Tanjiro then tells him to chill out, and he does not need to, do all this stuff, but he scoffs as he then rips his arm away, but his arm is in pain. Tanjiro then apologizes for Genya, and the twins say it's okay, as Tanjiro then walks up to him and fixes their hair because Genya messed it up, and then he then turns around saying, oh, by the way, I'm a boy, don't get the wrong idea. This shocks all of them, even the twins, who seemingly act emotionless, and they thought he really was a girl. Anyway, they get to pick the ores they want to make their swords with, and with his accurate nose, Tanjiro chooses the best one. He then leaves, heading to Urokodaki's house, and when he arrives, Nezuko is outside waiting for him, and Nezuko notices him and runs over, hugging him just as Urokodaki runs out. And Tanjiro would say that past master isn't that great. Urokodaki then, hugs him, and they share a group hug, and after this, Tanjiro gets his new and personal sword, and unlike his father, whose sword was black, his sword was pure silver. And the swordmaster found this weird, but told Tanjiro that if he broke the sword, he'd kill him. Now, soon Tanjiro gets sent on his first and own mission by his own crow, and when he arrives, it is dawn, and he sees a guy getting beat up by an angry father who is clearly in distress, but Tanjiro steps in, telling him to stop, and there's no need for violence like that. And when the father walks away, Tanjiro helps up Kazumi, the young boy who was being beat up, and Tanjiro would ask if he was okay. Kazumi says that he is, and he gets questioned by Tanjiro, who then goes to investigate about what happened with his, his wife. And he investigates until night falls, and he smells something. He then runs to a certain street, and he sees a dark puddle appearing and stabs it. And after he does, he sees a girl pop up covered in swamp water. Tanjiro quickly grabs her and steps away as a demon then tries to grab his foot, and he would yell, "Give her back!" The demon also realizes who Tanjiro is when he pops out, and he would ask if and Tanjiro would ask him if he knew how to turn a demon back into a human. "You're dreaming, kid. Why the hell would anyone want to go back to being a human? Enhanced strength, endless power, and vitality. We are the ultimate beings." Tanjiro then gets ready for a fight, seeing as he's not going to listen to him, and another demon then pops up behind him, grabbing his leg, only for his hand to then be pushed off due to Tanjiro's limitless. Tanjiro then finds himself standing in between these two demons while holding a young, passed out girl, and realizes that things are more complex than he thought. "Do you know who I am? Did Muzan Kibutsushi tell you about me?" The two demons shudder in fear of the name and do nothing but attack in a rabid way, and as they get close to Tanjiro, he does a crescent slash, and the demons' heads just spray blood and their heads fall off as Tanjiro sheathes the sword. Another failure. He then sees Kazumi run over, hoping Tanjiro saved his wife, but sees that is not the truth. Tanjiro sees that there isn't much else that he can do and hands him the girl and tells him to help her. I know how you must feel, but things will get better. The man gets mad, yelling at Tanjiro, saying he cannot possibly understand what he's going through, but then he freezes seeing Tanjiro's sorrowful smile, and he leaves and realizes that Tanjiro has been through much worse than him probably, and he apologizes, but Tanjiro is already gone. Tanjiro's next mission is him going to the city, of course, and then as he arrives, he puts on his hat, disguising himself, and goes to get some ramen for him and Nezuko. Now, as they sit down and eat by the noodle stand, Tanjiro does not smell but senses a demon, like actually senses him. He gets up surprised, and as he's, never felt this before, it's just a weird feeling, but he trusts this feeling, and he tells Nezuko to wait here and, even take the rest of his ramen as he runs out into the streets and sees a crowd in his way, but he pushes just past it, going through and through with haste until he touches the demon he was sensing on the back. Muzan turns around, seeing Tanjiro straight in the eye, and for a moment he gets lost in them. Tanjiro is ready to kill him and nearly takes out a sword, only for them to realize that he has a wife and child with him. Are you kidding me? Damn it, he's good. The child then smiles on Tanjiro, seeing his eyes and how beautiful he is, and the wife will then ask what he wants, and Tanjiro says that he accidentally bumped into them and apologizes. No problem, Muzan would say, just be more careful. Muzan then stares at him and obviously knows he's a demon slayer and recognizes that hair, and he turns around, leaving with his family, as Tanjiro then thinks, I swear one day I will cleave your head right off. You will pay for your sins, Muzan. Now, as his rage overflows, though, he then sees Muzan about to cut someone with his claws, and in a state of anger and desperation, he covers the man in infinity, making Muzan's claw bounce off before he can even reach the victim's neck. Muzan then looks back quick to see the boy is gone and grunts in anger, and we then see Tanjiro running through the crowd, wondering how he did that. Well, whatever I did, I could only do it for a few seconds, but it should be helpful. He then makes it back to Nezuko, and she walks up to him, comforting him because he looks like kind of conflicted and really mad and frustrated. Tanjiro then pats her on the head and thanks her, and when he then smells another demon nearby and turns around to see Yushiro. My lady wishes to speak with you. Nezuko already is ready to fight, but is stopped by Tanjiro, who agrees to go with him, and he tells Nezuko that he's not a bad demon, or he would have attacked him already, but he looks civil and conscious like she is. Tanjiro then thanks the noodle vendor and follows Yushiro through a wall on a certain building, and they walk through to see Tamayo healing someone, and Tanjiro smells that they are both demons. How are you resisting the urge to? He then sees Yushiro about to hit him and instinctively uses Infinity, making his hand bounce off before he can even reach Tanjiro, and Yushiro notices this, shocked, as Tamayo then death stares him and he calms down. Tamayo then looks at Nezuko and smiles, prompting her to run over and hug him, and Tamayo pats her on the head. I met your father. He was the one who spared my life, actually. Never did I think I would meet someone like him again. Tanjiro then takes off his hat, showing his hair, surprising Yushiro because it was very glistening, and he even sees Tanjiro's eyes and white eyelashes, and he thinks he's even more pretty than Lady Tamayo. Tanjiro then asks how she knew he was a relative of Gojo, and she says that she could just feel his presence in a way, and she doesn't know how to describe it herself. Tanjiro then asks if there's a way to turn the demon into a human, and she says that it's potentially possible if they get some powerful demon's blood, and she hands Tanjiro a strange syringe and tells him to use it to get blood, but as he accepts the syringe and puts away the syringe, the house starts to shake as a ball just goes at them, but it stops before hitting them. It bounces off and ricochets to the walls and destroys everything, and Tamayo and Yushiro are shocked at asking how it's possible because he's not using a breathing style, and how the ball just bounced off, that can't be a breathing style. It's something that derives from my breathing style, okay? Now wait here, I sense demons. The ball then comes at them again, but he thrusts at it and makes it explode, and he rushes out of the house and sees the hand demon about to throw 4 more balls, and some demon with his eyes in his hands. Oh, not the hand demon, the ball demon. I'll call her the ball demon. I don't really care about her name. Tanjiro then sees an opportunity to get some blood, and he takes out the syringe. The ball demon then says, his hair really is white as snow. Oh, this is gonna be fun. The arrow demon, I'll call him the arrow demon. The arrow demon then says, don't get reckless, he's formidable. The ball demon then acts on her instincts being stupid as she throws a ball and kicks it with all her strength and does the same with the other balls. Tanjiro then slices through the balls as they come and they pop, and then he blitzes the demon, stabbing it with the syringe as he gets close enough, and she goes to punch him, but her arm stops midway as Tanjiro then cuts her arm off until he slices off her neck. The demon, being enraged, goes to punch him, but her arm stops midway as Tanjiro cuts through her arm until he slices and, you know, reaches her neck and slices through it. The shocked arrow demon is too, like, just kind of, surprised and, like, scared to move. And as he starts running away in panic, he starts to lose footing until he's in air, being pulled towards Tanjiro. Limitless breathing, enchanting, slash. Before the demon knew, just like his comrade, he was dead, and Tanjiro sees the sword as he looks at the full syringe and he prays for the demons, regardless of how terrible they may be. Nezuko then comes out with Yushiro and Tamayo, who see the demons disappearing, and Tanjiro holds up the full syringe, making Tamayo smile, which makes Yushiro mad at Tanjiro. So, soon Tanjiro leaves, going to his next mission, and hands the blood to Tamayo, who promises that she will do what she can to help Nezuko. As Tanjiro is walking to his next mission, his destination, with his hat on, he then looks at his hand, wondering if he can somehow protect Nezuko from the sun if he masters this weird technique. Why can I do this if my dad can't? It's gotta be these eyes, huh? He then hears shrieking and sees trouble up ahead, and he will be hearing, "Please marry me. No, I don't want to. Get off. But I'm gonna die soon, please." Tanjiro then steps in with Zenitsu, recognizing him, and the girl blushes before then realizing that she's married and she can't cheat. She then takes the chance to run away, and Zenitsu goes to chase her but hits something invisible, now allowing him to move forward. So I can expand it this much, huh? But this guy is pretty persistent. He then stops the Infinity, and Zenitsu falls on the ground face first as he then raises his head to see Tanjiro kneel down and tell him to calm down. And he does, really fast, which surprises Tanjiro, and this is because Tanjiro looks really pretty. He knows he's a man, but, you know, he looks really like, how do I say this? Tanjiro just looks like that guy you want to listen to if you don't want to die. So, Zenitsu's crow then thanks Tanjiro, and Tanjiro promises to protect him, and if he stops freaking out. He then asks about Hass's crow and Zenitsu's crow if they can, work together and come with him, and the crows allow it, and as they do, they start walking together. "So, what's in the box?" Zenitsu would ask. Tanjiro then says, "Don't worry about it, but why are you so scared? You chose to become a demon slayer, right?" "Hell no, I had no choice, but I want to be stronger. It's just that..." He then gets a rice ball stuffed in his mouth, stopping him from talking, as Tanjiro says he understands, and slaying demons is not easy, and he tells Zenitsu to eat up since he'll need all the energy. Zenitsu likes Tanjiro, but is surprised he's really a guy, and then they go in the forest. He eats his rice ball, and soon they walk up to a house in the middle of nowhere, like in the forest. The kids hiding in the bush then get noticed and get scared, but are calmed down as Tanjiro takes off his hat, asking what happened. The boy holding his little sister then says that their brother is in that house, but there's a monster that forced him in there. "Ah, it's a demon," Zenitsu would say. And Tanjiro then promises to get their brother back when someone falls out of the top floor, and Tanjiro catches him, but he dies in his hands, making him realize how big of a deal he is. My bad. He then whispers, asking Nezuko if she wants to come with him, and she taps twice for yes, so Tanjiro steps in, telling Zenitsu that he can stay behind if he wants, and he gladly does. Tanjiro then enters, and the doors close behind him, freaking out the others, but he moves forward unaffected. He then enters her room, and Nezuko comes out of her box, growing in size, and they get ready for anything when they start to hear drums, and a demon comes in with drums in his body. Nezuko instantly attacks but gets cut and pushed back. "I finally found you," the demon would say. He then taps his stomach, and this makes a slash just come at Tanjiro, but he senses it and uses his infinity to make the attack useless, and he dashes forward, but then the ground under him disappears. He then falls, as does Nezuko, and they look up to see the demon is upside down. Tanjiro understands what's going on and tells Nezuko to act as his distraction. Nezuko then rushes, fighting the demon and trying to match him, and she's actually doing pretty good. And as she does this, Tanjiro starts a monologue, just like, thinking about what to do. "It's not like I can't kill you on the spot, but I need other ways to make me stronger. I'm gonna try out something new, and you're gonna be my new test subject." As he thinks this, he then sees Nezuko be caught away, and Tanjiro lunges at the demon, who then goes down because the ceiling is starting to kind of change, and starting to turn around, leaving Tanjiro on the ceiling. But in this instant, he uses his ability of infinity and creates a foothold that allows him to launch back at the demon without pushing off on the part of the house. The shocked demon then goes to spin the room again, or like, you know, clawed him with his yeah, that would make more sense. He goes to claw him again with that invisible like wind thing, but then his arm is cut off and he gets his head cut off next as Tanjiro lands behind him and sheathes the sword. Thank you for making me stronger, and make you rest in peace. The demon didn't expect this, as he then sees Tanjiro noticed some of his scripts, and so he picks it up and reads it. I already know what's coming. I even failed as a demon. My writing is even worse, the demon would think. This is pretty good. As he hears this, the demon starts to cry as Tanjiro apologizes that he had to die, but if he wrote works this amazing, then he must have been very successful before. The demon, still having a mouth, thanks him, surprising Tanjiro, as he then sees him crying and he disappears. Tanjiro then tells Nezuko to pick up the papers around, and they put it back in a stack in a corner of the room, and Nezuko gets back in her box, and they cut their way out of the room trying to find the lost, boy. Only to then find themselves outside as Tanjiro sees a demon attacking Zenitsu, but as this boar demon turns around, Tanjiro can smell he's human. Tanjiro, this guy is crazy, Zenitsu would yell. The boar man then grunts asking what's in the box, and Tanjiro says that he, should not worry about it. Then Zenitsu reveals that he knew he was carrying a demon, shocking him, as Zenitsu could then, he could hear Nezuko's heartbeat very well. But he says, but you seem to be a nice guy, so please get away from this psycho before he endangers whoever you're trying to protect. The boar man then goes and rushes at Tanjiro barehanded, and he goes to sweep kick him, but Tanjiro simply jumps up and kicks him in the face, and this knocks off his boar mask, and he gets excited trying to punch Tanjiro in the stomach, but his hand is smacked down as he's kicked in the face once again, and it sends him flying into a tree. Zenitsu is surprised, but Inosuke gets up despite bleeding from the head, and he attacks only to then be headbutted, and he finally gets knocked out. After this, Tanjiro sighs, explaining to the kids and Zenitsu that his sister is in here, and they're surprised, but they understand, and moving past that, they go back in the house and all find the lost brother together. And then they start burying the dead kid. Now, as they are, Inosuke wakes up and helps them, showing his nice side after some convincing, but he has issues, and he can barely remember people's names, and he keeps trying to slam his head against trees, since he can't accept that he got knocked out by Tanjiro's, headbutt. The kids then get wisteria from the crows, and they leave because, it can protect them from demons, and then they leave saying goodbye and thank Tanjiro, and as they leave, Inosuke puts his boar mask back on, and Zenitsu asks, how did you get such a strong forehead? You weren't even bleeding. I'm a genius, Tanjiro would say, and Inosuke would say, that is total bullshit. Yeah, Zenitsu would also yell, and Tanjiro laughs as he realizes that this might be the first group of friends he's ever made. He's never really had a friend. Zenitsu then asks for Tanjiro's name again, saying that the next time he fights him, he will beat him. Just wait for me, Bantaro. That's not even my name, you idiot, Tanjiro would say. And after this, Zenitsu says he wants a break. And even though Tanjiro doesn't really feel hurt or tired, he does want to, get some good sleep in. And Inosuke does as well. So they go to a resting place and they get food, good sleep. And Nezuko meets with all of the entire group. He meets Inosuke. And Zenitsu obsesses over her. Inosuke comes to like her. She's really nice. Inosuke also gets more in touch with his humanity as he talks with that granny, the one that takes over, that, takes care of the place. And he starts to understand why Tanjiro and Zenitsu act the way they do. More so Tanjiro than Zenitsu, because Zenitsu, he just sees him as a coward. So their next destination is the Natagumo mountain. And as Tanjiro and Inosuke enter it, Zenitsu wants to go back or just stay back. And they say he can. And they enter and soon see a demon slayer being sent flying into the air. Tanjiro catches him and lays him down, and he is too terrified to explain anything. Just stay behind me, I'll protect you, Inosuke would say. What do you think you're talking to? Tanjiro then blasts off ahead at incredible speed, and Inosuke tries to catch up, but as mentioned, Tanjiro is physically strong as a demon, and at this point probably way stronger anyway. He just prefers to use a sword. He can't fight one-handed like he did with Inosuke. So they find a fellow demon slayer who was scared, and Tanjiro says they're here for backup. You? They should have sent a pillar. What are they thinking this enemy is? He then gets punched in the face by both Tanjiro and Inosuke, telling him to stop being such a sissy. And Inosuke then, asks about the situation, and then he tells them that a demon, is making demon slayers kill each other. And then we go to the home of the leaders of the demon slayer corps. Kagaya sits in front of the water Hashira, Tomioka Giyu, and the insect Hashira, Shinobu Kocho. I already sent Tanjiro Kamado along with his companions to the scene. Tomioka can't wait to see the kid again, but Shinobu asks, what's so special about this boy? Kagaya then says that his father was Gojo's, Kamado, and it seems that he has even more potential than him, so now she understands. And now as they are sent to where he is, we go back to Tanjiro as he would then dodge a strike from a demon slayer, being controlled, and he cuts all the threads with ease, making the slayer fall. Remember, don't hurt them, he would say to Inosuke, who then also cuts a thread and uses his breeze breathing to sense who is doing this, and he points to where he senses it. But just before Tanjiro goes, they both hear a voice and look up to see a demon flying in the air. Rui would then say, "So, you're Tanjiro Kamado. Not as strong as I thought you'd be. Stop interfering or you'll be killed by Mother." Tanjiro then gets mad, using his breath of limitless perfect slash as he aggressively slashes towards the demon, and he gets a cut on his neck and he just backs away and holds it as he starts bleeding. How did he? Inosuke then asks Tanjiro how the hell he did that, with him saying it's part of his breathing technique, and Rui runs away as Tanjiro leaves the other slayers, in Inosuke's hands to chase after him, and he trusts him. And Inosuke finds his own way of stopping them, which is what Tanjiro did in the original. So, before he found Rui, though, Tanjiro would find the spider demon, and instead of fighting back, she opens her arm up, and with a smile, she wants to die, so Tanjiro gives her a painless death. Limitless breathing, perfect slash, but he does it with more of a, little nice, little cut. He didn't do it aggressively, and he cuts her neck, landing gracefully without making a sound, and the demon dies, feeling no pain, and is happy. And before she, leaves the world, to go to the underworld, I'm guessing, because that exists in Demon Slayer, she tells Tanjiro that one of the 12 demon moons is here, and Inosuke then runs over, saying that he found a way to deal with the strings, only to realize that those people are now free anyway. "God damn it, why are you always one-upping me?" he would say. And Tanjiro says, "We don't have time for that right now. Some dangerous demon is here." They head farther into the forest, mountain forest, and when they walk by, they're walking by like a flowing river. A giant, muscular demon appears, punching at Tanjiro, who uses Infinity to make his hands stop, and they both back away when Inosuke tells Tanjiro to go ahead. "It's about time I did something." Tanjiro nods and leaves as Inosuke then stares down this massive beast, ready to fight if death is in the question. He doesn't really care. However, after a couple minutes of running, Tanjiro comes across Rui as his sister is kneeling in front of him, bleeding from her face. "Isn't she your sister? Why would you do that?" "I don't understand. Of course she's my sister, but if you were to challenge me, well, that's a different story, and if you interfere, I will kill you." When Tanjiro gets ready for battle, another demon slayer then walks over, looking for a quick promotion, and Tanjiro tries to stop him, but he does not listen and dies trying to show off as he's cut to bits, like a million bits, in an instant. Tanjiro is furious, and being pissed, he attacks right ahead as Rui tries to cut him, but Tanjiro gets up in his face, punches him with all the rage he has. This sends Rui flying through tree after tree, and when he's about to hit another, Tanjiro appears, grabbing him by the face and slamming him down. "Not only are your bonds fake, you can't even notice it. Limitless breathing. Warping strike." Tanjiro strikes and his eyes glisten as he does not only cut through space this time, but warps it, making the demon implode on itself, and Rui dies just as Tanjiro senses another presence and sees Giyu behind him. "What was that technique?" he would ask. Even he couldn't do that. Tanjiro then snaps the Hashira out of his little trance, and they go to catch up with Tanjiro. Tamayo. And Giyu would say that he's much stronger now, and Giyu can tell because he just killed that demon effortlessly. This is when out of nowhere the insect Hashira appears, going for Tanjiro's box when Giyu stops her. As she lands far away from Tanjiro, Tanjiro would ask what she wanted, and Shinobu would say, "Wow, you really do look like him. Why are you getting in my way?" Tomioka, is it because of that? Tanjiro then gets in front of Giyu, telling Shinobu, "Yes, I'm aware that I am protecting a demon, but I don't care. She's different. I can prove it. She has not once even lusted for human blood, and she can eat normal food, and she still has energy. She doesn't need the mouth gag that Giyu put on her anymore. Are you simply saying this to save her?" "No, he's not." Nezuko then jumps out of the box landing, saying, "I want to prove my innocence." Tanjiro would then say, "Nezuko, you can talk now? I didn't even know that was possible." Nezuko says that she just became able to because she couldn't stand Tanjiro having to hide her, and she was willing to stand in front of the Demon Corps leader and undergo whatever tests are needed. Shinobu considers it, but says if Nezuko loses control, they will have no choice. She then nods, getting in the box, and a crow lands, announcing that Kagaya tells them to restrain Tanjiro and Nezuko, but not hurt them, and bring them to his home. So, they do so, and for a while, Tanjiro is separated from his sister and is blindfolded. When he gets to see again, Tanjiro looks up to see that he is in front of all the Hashiras. Weirdly though, even with his eyes blindfolded, he felt like he could still feel and see everything. Tanjiro then asks, "Where is she? Where the hell is my sister?" Shinobu then says, "For a man on trial, you're quite rowdy. You definitely are his son, aren't you?" "That's because you can't beat me, I already know. I've already surpassed my father." They're all stunted to hear this, but are not willing to believe it despite Tanjiro being right, and Rengoku speaks, saying whether or not they are the children of Satoru Gojo Kamado, my bad, this matter must not be mishandled. This is a serious case of misconduct. Nezuko must be put down. The Wind Hashira then walks up holding Nezuko's box and playing with it, and Sanemi, being the Wind Hashira, says, "I will cut out that filthy tongue of yours if you tell me another lie. You think surpassing him is an easy task? Who cares about my father? This is about my sister. She's as human as they come. She can eat human food, she doesn't need blood, and doesn't want it. She actually once said it was disgusting." The Wind Hashira then stabs Nezuko while she is inside the box, surprising some of the Hashira and pissing off Tanjiro, as he then screams and everyone around him is sent flying. His restraints come undone and he appears in front of the Hashira, punching him too fast for him to react, and he releases Nezuko's box and falls. Tanjiro then slams a punch in his face and then another, and the Hashira goes to stab him, but his blade shatters before he can even use it. "You're just abusing your power, you insolent little worm," Tanjiro would say. "Don't you ever say my dad's name again." As Tanjiro goes for a punch again, he barely dodges, and this makes a crater that just shatters it just breaks everything around, shocking him, and he would think, "I might have gone too far." Tanjiro then goes to punch again, but the Earth Pillar holds him back, as does Giyu, but they're just barely able to because Tanjiro is way stronger than them physically, and the Serpent Hashira then says, "Look kid, you're only making things worse, calm down." Tanjiro doesn't respond to them though, and once again they're all blown back, but this time a red energy field comes out, making them all spit out blood, and right now Tanjiro looks more like a demon than any demon he's ever faced. But he then stops as Nezuko hugs him from behind, and she would say, "It's okay, I'm fine. Please stop, this won't work if you're not willing to deal with the anger and the pain." A tear then falls on the Wind Hashira's face as Tanjiro then starts to cry, apologizing to Nezuko, and he would say that, "I just had enough of this. I want things to go back to somewhat normal. Why is that so hard?" Nezuko then jumps off as Tanjiro starts to wipe off his tears, and Sanemi, gets free, he stands up, and all the Hashira, despite bleeding, would then all of a sudden bow as Tanjiro looks back to see the leader of the Demon Slayers standing before him with a wide smile. "I heard you caused quite the commotion. Are you ready to speak now?" Now, what will happen to Tanjiro? What will happen to Nezuko? Find out in the upcoming parts. It's been me, Prince of Wedis, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. The next part will be coming soon, very soon, because it's actually not that long. It's just going to be about the train arc, and then I'm going to end it there. Again, this is just a little test run, but I hope you enjoyed anyway. Yeah, it's coming soon. And I'm working on the next part of What If Luffy was Bond's reincarnation already, part 9. That's already on the way, And yeah, stay safe, it's a Friday. Have fun and enjoy your weekend. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Please subscribe so we can get to 17K already, bro. It's been like so long. Are y'all gonna help me or not? Because I gotta know. Please subscribe. There are a lot of you who don't subscribe. I'm surprised. Can you please subscribe? Thank you. All right, I'm gonna leave now.